That's a guy that won Elite 11. That's a young man that's a leader. That's somebody that's really accurate. He can run. He's a little bit of everything that you're looking for in terms of a football recruit. And he's helped build that staff's confidence in him and vice versa. And they're bringing in players because of it. It's really interesting to see that not just the offense is doing well recruiting, they've got a balanced class. And here are a few of the notes. I expect, and all these kids I talk about, I think they have a chance to play early for all these schools. Taylor will play as a sophomore, I would imagine. I don't like to project freshmen to start at any program, Nebraska or anywhere else, but as a sophomore, I expect him to be the guy for the Huskers. Corey Hadley, a kid that I saw last year, have a fantastic opportunity to make plays and do some big-time things as a safety, elite athlete. This is a kid that plays just outside of Atlanta, plays at Sandy Creek. They've won a state championship, really, really good football player. He's going to play early. And they've got 7 kids out of Georgia in this class. Nebraska, it's wild. Jalen Hill from St. John Bosco, arguably my favorite program in the country. Cornerback. This is the kind of kid they don't normally get. He could go to about any school in the country, but he's going all the way to Lincoln from LA. Congrats to the Huskers. They've got a bona fide top 20 class, very balanced, 5 offensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen. I really like what the Huskers are doing. Moving on to UCLA, speaking of the Los Angeles area, Juju Johnson out of Long Beach Poly, that's Snoop Dogg's old high school. That is a kid that is going to play right away, no doubt. Out of Poly, that's a program that's really good with track. He's a kid that's physical. He can run, play man. He can play zone, whatever you need him to. Instant impact. George Toa out of Byron Nelson, Texas, just north of Dallas, 6'1", 320, maybe a little bigger. Not many nose guards out there that are like him. That's a really good football player. He'll make an instant impact for the Bruins. And then Matthew Gregory out of the state of Pennsylvania. So they've spread it around a little bit. They still have a bunch of guys from the state of California. UCLA's got 12 from there, and they've got 4 out of Texas. But they've done a really nice job. 5 O-line and 3 defensive linemen for the Bruins. Wisconsin, Mekhi Williams, one of my favorite recruits in the country, is going to play for the Badgers. He's out of Leonard High School just south of Tampa, 6'4" safety. This is a kid that I expect to play right away. Again, I don't like freshmen starting major programs, but he has a chance to do it. If he picks up the scheme, they won't have a more physically gifted safety in their room. He's going to play early for the Badgers. Maybe the biggest underrated recruit in the country, and it's because he used to be a hooper. Remember this name, Yazin Zion. He's out of Desert Edge, just outside of Phoenix, 6'4", 270 pounds. He can bend the edge. This kid is raw, but he's got enough skill right now that doesn't look like he's a kid that's kind of new to football and prioritizing it. And his athleticism is through the roof. I think he could end up being the best player in the class, and I think he's got NFL traits. Jay Jones out of Chandler, Arizona, another kid from the greater Phoenix, Arizona area, a wide receiver that can really run. And the Badgers, they absolutely need more of that in their lineup. They need more speed outside the numbers. Continuing on, Kentucky. This might be the best one out of all these programs that have kind of surprised, and maybe the biggest shock to me because they're just a basketball school, right? Well, apparently not. Jake Narot, the quarterback out of John Hersey High School just outside of the north edge of Chicago, he is a very accurate passer. 41 touchdowns, 2 interceptions last year, 6'3", 6'4", 200 pounds. Last year was his first year starting. He's only going to increase his productivity. I think Narot's a kid that can play very early for Kentucky. Again, don't like freshmen, especially a quarterback. They're going to have a hard time keeping him off the field. Good player. Elijah Brown out of Prattville, just outside of Montgomery, Alabama, one of the best programs in the Deep South. Hard to find defensive tackles. Kentucky took one out of the state of Alabama. Nice job by the Wildcats. And then finally, Marquise Bryant out of Rollsville, North Carolina, one of the better safeties in the Atlantic Coast region. That kid will play early for the Cats. They have 5 O-line and 4 D-line. So, again, balance in the class. Are you getting trenches? I talk about that a lot. I like what Kentucky's doing. Cal certainly is doing a great job as well. And they like size in a different variety. How about this? A 6'5" and a 6'4" wide receiver are committed. That's right, 6'5" and 6'4". First one is Charles Davis out of Westlake High School, greater Los Angeles area. He's a very physical kid. Some of his film shows him blocking. I love that. He's a big-bodied kid, but he'll get out there and block. He does some H-back stuff for his high school. Like him a lot. Zion White, he was at IMG, but he's from Hawaii. He transferred back to Hawaii for his senior year. 6'4" kid. I bet he plays almost immediately. Out of all these guys for Cal, I think White will play the earliest because he's so used to competition and being IMG. He's going to play. They also got Camille Loud out of Gorman High School in Las Vegas. That's a great program. And 6'1" corners do not grow on trees. They have 2 offensive linemen. They still got a little ways to go there, but they got 5 D linemen in the boat. Not surprising because Tosh Lupoy is a D-line guru, and he's trying to bring that to Cal. Georgia Tech, 14 players from inside the state of Georgia, 4 O-line and 7 defensive linemen in the boat already. Success Nawabade, a defensive end out of Athens Academy, is a very freaky kid. 6'6", give or take 245, 250. I've seen him play multiple times. He looks the part of a strong side defensive end, and he is every bit of the 6'6". He's a big dude. I love his upside. That's a kid going to make the little trip down to Atlanta. Running back Quintarius Gibson fits the mold of a Georgia Tech player. Downhill, physical, straightforward, no doubt about it. He is not trying to sugarcoat anything. He's going to bring some power, and he's got some really deceptive wiggle too. He'll make the first guy miss with a subtle move, use some power, use a stiff arm, and then he's off. Linebacker Cole Crawford, just a great football player. He's one of the more underrated players that is in the South. This is a kid that can play early because he plays above the shoulders as well as he does with his shoulder pads. He's a thumper, but that's a kid that's really smart. They also got Joshua Sam Appel, one of the better players in the South in terms of upside. He's a 6'9" offensive tackle out of Douglas County. Love his upside as well. Now, I went through those 6, and we're going to get into the commitments here in just a second. But I want you to think about this. Out of all the programs I mentioned and all the programs that are still out there, is there anybody that you think that should be considered in this list as well? I mean, there could be some other schools. Make sure you comment down below, or if you're listening to this later on, give us a comment below as well. All right, when we come back, we're going to break down the latest commitments, rumors, and what's going around the recruiting world. That is next right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Workplace chaos can show up fast. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. So look at it from this perspective. If you're going to go out and find an opportunity to get your squad together, even if it's just a local basketball team, you can't go out there with 5 cards. You got to put together the right pieces, the right parts to get it done. In building a business, whether it's a football team, basketball team, or anything else, it sounds simple, but it's really not. Every now and then you'll watch a team that's super talented, but they're missing that one position and they get taken out in the playoffs. Well, the general manager for that team in the NBA or the NFL or whatever, they're probably in trouble because it is their job to be a cohesive unit. That's what you want in your business as well. And Indeed Sponsored Jobs is trying to help you get there. So spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Check it out. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed right here on the Portal Podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club down below. In the description, there is a link. You can get your pods on the go with no ads. Check out the Everydayer Club. All right, let's go down through the list of the latest commits. We'll go through some rumors and some other things going on that we got. Earlier today, Andre Jones and Julius Jones Jr., obviously Julius Jones' kids, have committed to Notre Dame. Julius played at Notre Dame, Cowboys, Seahawks, then finished up, I believe, with the Saints. They're both playing at St. Thomas Aquinas. Big day for the Irish. Congrats to Marcus Freeman and his staff. Nasir Banks out of McEachern, one of the best programs in the state of Georgia. That's the northwest side of Atlanta. That program's always had players. I think that's the second kid from that program to commit to Auburn. He's another guy that could play receiver, could play nickel, he could play safety. He could do a lot of different things. That's a kid that can really run. Interior offensive lineman Jaden Lindsay out of Good Counsel in the greater D.C. area. He is headed to North Carolina. Kamani Adams out of Kell High School, another greater Atlanta area kid. This is interesting. Really good corner. He's going to BYU. Now, we've talked about this on the show before, but BYU's got some deep pockets, and they're starting to expand their plethora of opportunities by just trying to scour the country. They're not just west of the Rockies now. They're going into other territories. Getting a kid out of Atlanta is not easy. Congrats to them. Linebacker CJ Ohu Bunwa out of Greater Atlanta Christian. There's another Atlanta kid. He's on the north side. Is committed to Florida State. I've seen him play before, 6'2", 205. Really athletic, but most importantly about him, he's cerebral. He can help kids line up. He's one of those guys that's a coach on the field. He'll probably play pretty early for the Noles. All right, running back Kingston Miles. He was committed to Auburn. He has flipped to Mizzou. He's out of St. Mary's High School in St. Louis, so that's not really a shock. Aiden Ray, 6'5", 300-pounder. He is going to be playing for UCLA. He's from just outside of Dallas at Plano West. Linebacker Kane Brackney out of Bixby High School in Oklahoma. Great program. He is committed to Indiana, 6'1", 220 pounds. He was originally committed to UCLA. Quarterback Nassim Eason, 6'1", 160 pounds, out of Higley High School in Arizona. Staying home. He's going to play for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Wide receiver Brady Knowles, 6'5", 190, another one of those big kids. He's out of South Lake Carroll. He's going all the way up to Champaign to play for the Illinois Fighting Illini. Interior offensive lineman Kyler Kuhn out of Kansas City, St. Pius High School. He's going to stay home and play for the Tigers for Mizzou. And interior offensive lineman Barrett Cottrell out of Ashland Greenwood. Big kid. He is going to play for the Huskers. Now let's talk a little bit about some of what's going on with some of the commitment dates, just a little bit of news and different things that are going through. I don't know how many of these kids are going to just announce that are coming up. I have a feeling there's going to be a few surprises, but this is just some of the kids that I wrote down there that I'm familiar with that have dates. Take it for what it's worth. Albert Simeon out of Sam Houston High School down in Lake Charles, Louisiana, probably A&M or Notre Dame. I don't know where he's going. Nobody seems to have a whole lot of information. He's going to make his decision 1 p.m. on Friday. That's the tentative time. 5-star player. We'll see where he goes, but that's an elite player. Montre Jackson, cornerback. He's a kid out of Garland Lakeview Centennial, top 250 player. Texas, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, SMU. I like the opportunity there for him to end up at Ole Miss. He's announcing on Saturday, I believe it is. That's a big-time player. Noon Eastern time. Junior Tuopo, great kid. 6'3", 195-pounder out of Thompson High School in the greater Birmingham area. That's the best program in the state of Alabama. Auburn, Alabama, Texas, Oregon, and Indiana. They all had OVs. I have no idea where he's going. He's announcing his decision coming up at 9:54 p.m. That one is going to be, I believe, the 24th as well. I think he's going to be announcing Thursday or Friday, but that one's this week. And out of all these kids, I haven't heard anything about junior. I even live in the state of Alabama. Wide receiver Alvin Mosley out of Crawford High School, June 27th at noon. My apologies. He's the one on Saturday at noon. The Montre Jackson kid, I'm not sure where he's going. He's the kid from Dallas. I don't know. Mosley, that's the one I like the most for Ole Miss. Maybe they get both. We'll see. But he's a kid that can really run. He's a top 200 receiver. Osani Gales, June 27th. That's my favorite route runner in this class. He's at IMG Academy, originally from Northern California. His father played at Stanford. Most people think he's going to Bama, but we'll see. I do know he's just a heck of a receiver. He can really run. Very smart kid, really well respected by everybody in the media. He's just a bright guy. Blake Wong, wide receiver out of Norco, California. He's going to be making his decision June 27th at 5 p.m. He's a kid that Oregon and a whole bunch of schools went after. Again, I really don't know where he's going. Eric McFarland, another IMG receiver. I think he's the best slot in the country. June 28th, 1 o'clock. No idea if there's been any late movement, but A&M's been the favorite. We'll see what happens. Marquise Fennell in 3 days, so that one is Thursday, 9 a.m., probably going to Florida State. That's another commitment that's coming up. When we come back, we're going to jump into the chat, and we're also going to discuss Ohio State. Their schedule is pretty crazy. Are the Buckeyes going to be able to overcome everything? We'll find out. Let's talk about it next right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk with one another. That's where Odoo will come into play. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. Sales, accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, organized, and stay focused on growing the business instead of managing software. So the best organizations know success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in the business world. So make sure you understand, look, great businesses, they know that it's the operations, not just the talent. They all have to work together. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's odoo.com/locked on. All right, let's jump into the chat and have a little bit of fun. Hope everybody's had a wonderful day. I haven't even checked this at all, but what's going on, Salty? Hope all is well in your world. Where do you think Triple J best fits in a Mike Denbrock, you meant to say Denbrock offense? Either slot or outside, I don't think it really matters. Notre Dame now has commitments from Andre Jones and Zayden Gamble, all from Aquinas. Is it fair to say Notre Dame now has a pipeline to St. Thomas Aquinas? No. Every year is different in a program like that, especially in South Florida. That's a very unique area, part of the country, man. Even Miami's got to work hard to keep kids from St. Thomas Aquinas on. That's a really difficult program. How much of a boost has Notre Dame's recruiting in Florida seen with the addition of Charlie Partridge? Quite a bit. Charlie's a good recruiter. And if I remember right, he's either Broward or Palm Beach County where he grew up. So he's very familiar with those programs. Jay Melvin, Brian, who is the better player, Gales or Julius Jones Jr.? Gales is the better route runner. Julius is probably the guy that I would say is the more like one play, big hit guy. But Gales is very fast too. He's just different style. They're similar though. Salty, I recall early in Miami's rise a few decades ago, they recruited a class drawn almost entirely from one Miami high school that brings instant chemistry and culture. Why is this not done more often? Talent. You're talking about Miami Northwestern. They signed 7 kids from that school in 1 year. Yeah, that program's a little different. Brian, a lot of Notre Dame fans know about Julius Jones Jr., but what about the brother Andre Jones? Does he have potential to be a big-time player at safety for Notre Dame? I've only watched him a little bit. I need to see him more before I can really answer that. I recall Joe Burrow pushing hard for the Bengals to draft Jamar Chase the next year, which they did. And that brought instant chemistry and won Rookie of the Year. Why not more often? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I'd have to think about that, but general managers kind of do what they do. Owners kind of do what they do. They don't listen to a lot of people. That would be my first guess, but I'm not really sure on that one. Wisconsin is having recent success in recruiting, including an edge player, the likes of which they have not had in recent memory, if ever. How are they doing it, especially following a 4-win season? NIL. Wisconsin has finally jumped into the NIL boat. Finally. Because they have been terrible at NIL for a while, and they finally did, and it's completely changed their program. Salty, Wisconsin just flipped Fannin Steele from Tech, another highly talented recruiting flip from the Red Raiders. Is this the Sorsby effect, even though he's done, and will it continue? I like to know the same thing. This is the first time I've seen something like this, but I wouldn't put it past them. Leon, they deserve it. Tech for backing up Sorsby. Amen to that. Even though Zayden Gamble committed first, do you think he and Jones brothers all knew that they wanted to play together and to be Irish and made a plan for that to happen? Julius, from talking to him several times, really wanted to take his visits. Now, I know that Notre Dame was the likely landing spot, but he really wanted to go through it, and he did. May I refer to Triple J and Andre Jones as the Jonas brothers? No, please do not. Please do not. Happy Monday, wet from Philly in the World Cup game. Leon, hope all is well, man. That doesn't sound good. Salty, Leon, were you at the game? That was one hell of a storm. Not the weather, France. Oh, well done. Matt Rule is not a good coach, and Nebraska can't recruit. No proof of developing players and not winning seasons. They need to win this year or they're in trouble in Nebraska. Tommy, what's going on, man? How you doing? Glad to see you in the chat as always, Mr. Tommy Guns. Leon, Salty, 2 hours away. The game just finished, taking the train back to Jersey. Let's see. Good to see you, DJ. What's happening, man? Swanton, what's up, man? Always knew Brian was a San Diego fan. Could never hide that from us. It's so obvious. For those of you that are listening to this spot, I've got a San Diego State hat on, and this brings up a good point. There is a new Pac-12 show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I help out with it, and I'm going to be doing some of the San Diego State stuff. The reason I'm enamored with State, if you remember, I'm an older guy now. When I first left high school, there was this guy by the name of Marshall Falk that went to San Diego State. And I've always just kind of had a thing for them ever since, and I love their helmets too. So that's my affiliation with San Diego State. How good of a recruiting class will LSU finish with, Brian? Will it be top 15, 10? That all depends on Kiffin. How many guys does he want to take? And do they really want to finish up with a high enough number to get into that realm? They can, but he likes the portal too. So LSU is about the hardest program to project moving forward. I would guess they won't have many classes in the top 3 with him because he'll be a little heavier on the portal, which is fine. But it's hard to imagine LSU finishing outside the top 15, don't you think? Like, if they get to 20 every year, they should be a top 15 class. That's kind of my barometer. Salty, I think Cal has a chance to be built in the same fashion as Harbaugh built Stanford. They may very well be a team with whom the elite must reckon. That's from Salty, and I think that's a pretty good one too. Hurricane Hicks, Kirby will have to change how that Georgia Tech is starting to play in NIL 100%. Few of the kids at Georgia Tech have in their recruitment list. That's one thing to get them on campus, but to get them on their commitment list, that's different. Joshua Sam Lapel is a kid they wanted. He went Tech. Smitty, I have your current show playing from my phone and your Wisconsin crossover playing from my computer. It's Smitty in stereo, just the schizophrenic kind. I'm not sure I would publicize that if I were you, Salty, but I appreciate it in the nicest kind of way. Jay Melvin, Brian, if you had to make a prediction today, what ranking will Alabama finish with this upcoming season, and why are they recruiting so badly after a great class last year? I was going over Bama's schedule last night. I think they got a chance to win 10 or more games. The only game that I'm like, I really think they'll lose is LSU. It's on the road. It's after a whole bunch of games and stuff. They do get a bye, but that's a tough place to play. Georgia maybe, but I'll say 9-3 is kind of where they're at. Their schedule is not easy. But, I mean, it's difficult to say what Bama really ails from other than just internal wounds. Like, it's really forest for the trees with them, don't you think? Because they averaged 104.1 yards per game rushing last year at Alabama. That's self-inflicted wounds. They had an offensive tackle that was a first-round guy. They've got a bunch of running backs. They don't lack any size or speed or physical traits in the running back room, tight end room, O-line room. That was coaching. So I don't think it matters what their in-season record is. They need to do something in the playoff that shows some zest. They need to correct their running game problems, and they need to look the part. And I don't think any of that will happen until otherwise proven. I'm a show-me guy, so I'm going to say 9-3, skate into the playoffs and get beaten round 1 or round 2. I think it'll be a carbon copy of last year because I just think they are who they are as a coaching staff until otherwise proven. And if I've said this once, I've said it a million times. The most stubborn people on earth are college football coaches. The word change to them is a 4-letter word. We'll see if they do anything. Recruiting, they took 2 big classes the last couple of years. That's part of the reason their recruiting is a little down, but the biggest one is NIL. They don't have the money. There's a recent article on 3. The board's in it, like quoted. You can see the passive hints like, hey, we need more money. It was extremely well worded. Kalen DeBoer is a smart man, but they need more cash. They're not as competitive as they need to be. As a matter of fact, there are times it's not even close to where they need to be. Like teams are offering twice as much as them. And even if you're Bama, that doesn't work. especially out-of-state kids. So they got to fix that, or they're not going to be back in the title hunt anytime soon. Although this year they still got a chance because they got enough linemen. They need to make it happen this year. Leon, Eli Woodward, would you pick Miami or you think he's going to Cal? I don't know that kid. That's a weird deal because Miami is the easier pick in my opinion, but it's all the way across the country. Cal is at least in the same state. I think he's Southern California, but that's obviously up in San Francisco Bay Area. I don't know where he's going. I even talked to Dono about that the other day. I'm not sure where he's going. Really good receiver, though. He makes a hell of a lot of plays. Salty, BYU is starting to throw that cookie dough around. Crumble. Well said. Yeah, BYU's got money. They can definitely recruit. Way he CM. Brian, do you ever get tired of Penn State blaming only NIL when they lose a recruit? AKA O'Brien. I mean, a lot of their problem this year is their staff is not familiar with the East Coast. I've been told that Penn State's really going to prioritize New Jersey the next couple of classes because it's really good in 28 and 29 in the state of New Jersey. But I still need to see that play out. Their coaches will have a full year for the 28 class and 2 years with the New Jersey kids in 29. And, of course, you've got to do better inside the Keystone State as well. But NIL needs to go up too. It's not one or the other. It's both. Swanton, SVP, is there enough cookies to catch up to everyone else? J. Melvin. What's going on, man? Brian, where do you think Albert Simmons will land? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I haven't spoken to him in a long time. Wish I did, but I'll know when he announces. I think if Notre Dame was open to 3 receivers, they would have won Gales. Maybe. Alabama recruits pretty good at receiver, though. Swanton, seemed like that desire shift a few weeks ago. That was my impression, at least. Tommy Guns, he canceled his last visit as far as I know. He made us wanting to go to Bama. Let's see. One major target on Notre Dame campus this week was Sagan Alexander. Do you like him? And out of him and Tyler Alexander, who would you take, or would you take both? I like Sagan Alexander better because I think he's a better pass rusher, and he's a year younger. Based on the way he plays, he's been coached well, considering, but he's still a little raw. But he's basically David Volaruncho, the other commitment for Notre Dame, in that he's a big guy that can play on the defensive end. And then on the next play 4-eye in a 3-man front, and then play 3-tech in a 4-man front. Like, he can do all those things. They're almost identical size, too. Really good player, and I would say that his upside is just through the roof. I think Sagan, however you pronounce his name, upside's as high as he wants it to be. Swanton, I could be wrong and you could be right. Just working on what I have seen. Let's see here. Brian, how do you feel about this upcoming season? For which team? Do you think Young regrets not picking Notre Dame? I doubt it because he probably just thought he was doing the best thing by going to Bama. Jay Melvin, Brian, do you like the extra receiver that he took a few months ago, Jackson Coleman? He's a pretty good player. He can really run. 6'3" kid. He's been well coached. He's at Valor Christian, one of the better programs in the state of Colorado, if not the best. I would imagine he'll have an impact at Notre Dame at some point. He could probably play flanker or boundary. That's also a valuable tool. Hurricane Hicks, does Bama have top-end O-line talent? Michael Carroll. Carroll's an NFL player. He's only going to be a sophomore. He started last year as a freshman. They've got a handful of linemen that can be, but they also it's not the O-line. It's how they practice. They practice pass game. It's not a 7-on-7 game. The run game last year was abysmal. That was their fault as a staff, not players. They couldn't run the ball on Vanderbilt. They couldn't run the ball on anybody consistently because they just wanted to impose their will. They tried to trick people. You're Alabama. Go do it. Brian, do you believe there will be any huge signing day flips? Of course. There will always be signing day flips. Why? It's recruiting. Recruiting never changes in that regard. Now let's jump into the schedule with Ohio State. a few things that are very important here to consider with the Ohio State schedule. Obviously, they're in the Big Ten, and obviously that means you're going to be challenged there. But they play my second alma mater, Ball State, week 1. My God, that'll be awful. That'll be 56-3. But week 2, September the 12th, they play at Texas. That may be the game of the year in college football, and it may determine which one of those goes to the playoff. I don't agree with it, but the playoff committee values win-loss record over strength of schedule. That's pretty obvious. They got to find a way to win that game just like Texas does. Week 2, the Longhorns host the Buckeyes. September 19th is Kent State. That's another 56-3 kind of game. September 26th, Illinois. I don't think they'll be as good this year as they have been, but they'll still be competitive. That'll be better than you think. And it's physical. That's the most important part, because the next week, Iowa will host Ohio State. That will be their 5th game in a row. Keep track here. The Hawkeyes are a physical team. They got those weird pink locker rooms. That place is crazy. I imagine that'll be like a 7:30 kickoff. October 10th, they host Maryland. So right there is number 6 in a row. But then October 17th, they play at my first alma mater, Indiana, in what will be another potential game of the year kind of situation in Bloomington, Indiana. That place will be bananas. And that's 7 games in a row to start the season. That's a lot. Anytime you play more than 5 in a row, it's a little iffy on your depth. You're probably going to have a lot of guys that are beat up. You're going to see coaches completely, and I do mean completely, lying about their injury report to the media and everybody else. Never, by the way, if you're a gambler, go by the injury report. Ever go by the injury report. It's always garbage. 2 top teams are on the road right out of the gate, Indiana and Texas. That's tough. Plus, you got Iowa on the road in your first 7. It's not easy. And do not take the Hawkeyes lightly. I think that would be a very big mistake. And then when you go to the backside of the schedule, you get a bye on October 24th. And then on Nick Saban's birthday, you play at USC. You come home to Ohio, you don't get a breather. November 7th, here come the Oregon Ducks. Then on the 14th, you host Northwestern, no big deal. On November 21st, kind of like Iowa, don't take them lightly. Got Anthony Calandria now at Nebraska at quarterback. Anything's possible. If you lay an egg, go out there to Nebraska. You can play poorly and lose. And then, of course, it's the game, November 28th in Columbus, Ohio. The Michigan Wolverines travel to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. If you look at just the last handful of games there, those 5, the only one that's probably not going bowling of any kind is Northwestern. I think that's pretty obvious. The other 4, potentially, depending on what you think of Nebraska, could all be major bowl contenders. You go to LA, then you have a home for Oregon. That's a tough back-to-back. Again, like Iowa, Nebraska, don't take them lightly. You need to blow them out to rest before you play Michigan, but that can be a letdown spot, and it's a road game. Ohio State's schedule to me is a national top 5 because of the consistency of how difficult it is. I mean, you got Indiana on the road, you got Oregon at home, USC on the road, you got Texas on the road. That schedule is crazy. It really is. And I don't know how many people feel sorry for Ohio State. It's not like they don't have a lot of talent, but just from a metric standpoint, conservatively, it's top 10. I think it's top 5. But we'll see how they handle it. They're preseason top 3 by most people, and they should be. But that schedule is going to make it difficult. If they go 10-2 with that schedule, I think they can get a top 6 seed. I really do, because that schedule is absolutely bonkers. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Here we go. Leon. Brian, do you think Miami needs to get one more offensive lineman? They have 3 commits. It depends on what they think they're getting out of the portal and how many guys they think are returning. I'll trust Alex Mirabal that way regardless. He doesn't miss much. Backdoor poacher, that's a hard draw of games. Talking about Ohio State, 100%. Like, Buckeyes didn't get any easy draw this year. Hurricane Hicks, Buckeyes will go 10-2. That's kind of where I think a lot of people have them. Leahy, that is what a Big Ten schedule should look like. It's pretty hard, no doubt. Thank you to everybody that showed up again tonight to have some fun. As you've noticed, we've got a bunch of commitments towards the end of this week. It's a little slower than I thought it would be this week for the big name commitments. Seems like everybody's committing between Friday and Sunday, which is, for whatever reason, it's wild. So I'll probably do a show Saturday night, as crazy as that may be. I'm probably going to stream a couple of different things, maybe a couple of different live shows. We'll see. But going to be a lot of stuff going on Sunday. Salty, on the flip side, if Ohio State does well against this schedule, they're probably going to be a monster in the playoffs. That's a well-said statement right there. Ohio State would earn it. If they could go 11-1 in that schedule, they'd have a chance at the top overall seed, I would imagine. Well, thank you to everybody that showed up once again to check out the Portal Podcast. I appreciate it. If you have not already, please like and subscribe to the Portal Podcast. Make sure that you tell a friend about the Portal Podcast. We will see you again soon.